about that. Whew. Gosh, it's hot in here. Gosh, it's hot in here. Gosh, it's hot in here. Have beer. Have beer. Have beer. This will save us. This will save us. No, it's gonna echo. Wait, please. Okay. Whew. Crazy warm in here. Actually, I'm gonna take this moment to also go and change share. Moment. All right, folks. Whew. Out here dying just a little bit. Dying, trying, unaliving. I don't know what has been going on with my computer recently, but it has been freaking out sometimes for some reason. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we get model changes. Valorant. And let me also fix the stream time. All right. Let's get back in. In here, especially with the hands and stuff running. So let's see if we can do the window capture again. I kind of like that one. Allowed us to watch videos and play games the same. source. Oh. No capture. That screen. That mess it up. That may mess it up. I know what to do. Head up a bit. Be close to the right because that's that way. Just shrink it down. Boom.
Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64, a quirky crossover fighting game between Nintendo's most iconic characters. Instead of defeating your opponent
there we go.
their health, the objective was to knock them off the stage.
And now we can watch videos and
on the GameCube, Nintendo released Super Smash Bros. Melee. The game sold incredibly well and was amazing. It captured not only just casual players, but spawned an intense competitive scene. To this day, Sweaty Gold.
So I gotta check, when do sort of stop being sold?
Nintendo followed up this blockbuster title with Super Smash Bros. Brawl in 2008, released on the Wii, and everybody loved it, and there was no hatred at all.
Certainly no controversy in that game.
I will stop being so polite. Get the fuck out of my sight before I demolish you.
Obviously, anyone in the competitive fighting scene or even vaguely aware of Smash's history are aware of the severe thrashing of this game, both at the start and life cycle. But looking back at it, it's a lot to offer and may even be better than Melee.
Pause? Unlikely. That's a laugh. Serious?
In some areas.
Also, I realized if I want to build freely without the worry of death, I should probably create as many cats and dogs as possible.
Satoru Iwata, rest in peace, proudly displayed the console and announced a few games planned for the system. One of these games was the next entry in the Smash series that was apparently already in development. Masahiro Sakurai, the godfather of Smash, was completely unaware a Smash Bros. Game was being made. Probably because it wasn't. Iwata, after E3, approached Sakurai asking him to head the development of the game, and is rumored that if Sakurai said no, Nintendo were planning on simply porting Melee to the Wii and adding online play. But, of course, Sakurai said yes, and Brawl entered production. For real this time. So the expectation from fans was that Melee only took 2 years to develop and was one of the greatest fighting games ever made. So the wait won't be that long.
So let me get bread.
In 2006, the trailer for Super Smash Bros. Brawl premiered, and people were hyped. Starting in May 2007,
try and
would release daily updates on a website known as the
give the village.
These updates would include stuff like new characters, items, and
get some cats to start spawning in.
Set to release in December 2007, but unfortunately saw a heavy amount of delays due to the sheer amount of content in the game. Finally, the game releases in Japan on January 31st, 2008, and around the world in the following months. So what did people think?
We're not happy.
The gameplay was the most heavily criticized aspect of Brawl. It's not as slow as 64 in my opinion, but it's not far off. Now look, I'm not a hardcore Smash Bros player. I think I may have wave dashed maybe 5 times.
Why not have?
The movement in Brawl compared to Melee is even painful for me. Back in Melee, you could absolutely raw dog opponents with combos.
Where you at? Where you at? Combo.
Brawl, comboing is the most difficult out of any Smash game, at least for me. Brawl has a lot less hit stun than Melee, which is essentially the time after you get hit before you can move. Because Melee had more hit stun, once you land an attack, you can continue to punish your opponent. Whereas in Brawl, the player that gets hit has more time to evade the next attack, making it more difficult. Characters in Brawl were also much floatier, which meant combos could be broken up far easier. And for characters with more knockback on their attacks, combos were very difficult. Combine this with the fact that Brawl has unlimited air dodge, the game becomes very defensively orientated. Perhaps the biggest factor that hurt Brawl's movement, though, was the removal of advanced movement. Wave dashing, L cancelling, and dash dancing were not all intentional inclusions in Melee.
Bring them
It
back.
widened the skills gap between casual and competitive
They
players.
need. I really wish they had kept the.
But it added a whole nother layer
Or they had
of
kept
depth.
like wave
And
dashing and
random
stuff.
tripping was just
Ultimate. It would have made it such a good game.
yeah, when your character performs a dash, there's a 1% chance that the character will just
So it's
randomly
7
fall
bread.
over. And when turning around during a dash,
Vill-
this increases to 1.25. It's pretty minute where it doesn't affect the gameplay too much, but at crucial parts in the game, if your character randomly trips, that's multiple seconds wasted that allows your opponent to capitalize and potentially take a stock. All of this was done in order to cater to casual players, and I reckon that was due to the new online play. Brawl was the first title to feature online play, which was a huge step for the series, and look, it wasn't great.
It needs
was
amending.
delayed and laggy, which for a fighting game is.
Although, did they fix that?
But it was fun
That you couldn't get
for 2008.
it by
Having
reroll.
the game favor casuals helped ensure online players wouldn't get absolutely murked by veteran players. The game doesn't have the same competitive community as Melee, and that can be seen today, as you rarely see Brawl tournaments. But Brawl is a great entry point in the Smash series. If you're a new player, like I was back in
I'm actually gonna
2008, then Brawl
spend
really
some
helps you
emeralds.
understand the basics of Smash. And as a casual party game, Brawl is a much better game than Melee in my opinion. A major contributing factor to Brawl being a great party game is all the new additions. Melee had 29 stages, including remakes. Certainly nothing to scoff at. But Brawl buffed that to 41 stages. Not all stages are covered, but some are bangers. WarioWare, Picto.
What happened to the guy in here?
Some of my personal favorites. New items such as assist trophies that are essentially a Waluigi prison, the Pitfall, and one
No!
of my personal favorites, the Smart Bomb, have remained mainstays in the series and for
Get out.
good reason.
Get out.
Oh,
Get out.
and how could I forget?
I don't have
Incredible
seeds.
Smash
No!
Bros. After attacking it enough and breaking it, it would allow your character to feel the love and embrace of our Lord and Savior, course through their veins and unleash a final smash. Each character had their own unique final smash, and some
The love and grace of our
the original
Savior.
series, whilst others make you question your own reality. When it comes to balancing, some smashes are
Gotta figure out a way to get them out of
some
there.
are okay, and some are
It's the biggest piece of dog.
like with Donkey Kong's, it was probably more effective to just throw the Wii remote. Speaking of characters, Brawl upped the roster from 25 to 39, and for the first time removed some from the previous entry. It was mostly clone characters that were removed. Dr. Mario, Young Link, Pichu, and Roy, but also Mewtwo.
Okay, I'm ready.
A weird choice considering he was so beloved and had his own unique moveset, but he was at one
True.
point planned to be in the game.
Oh, rest in peace, Etika.
Were Diddy Kong, Pit, Pokemon Trainer, Ike, King Dedede,
What a good reaction. Man, I wish he was around for the other Smash
This was also the
deals.
first of the series to
Steve
have
one
no
would've been
Nintendo
so good.
characters on the roster. Solid Snake from Metal Gear and Sonic the Hedgehog from the Olympics. This was huge. Seeing non-Nintendo characters being able to beat the life out of Captain Oliver gave hope to so many clueless morons asking for Goku to be added. But I'm leaving out one.
And
The character that caused
Max.
chaos. The aptly named
Meta Knight. Yeah.
Literally fly. Not glide, fly. High skilled players could dominate with him as he was very skill expressive, but he was also insanely easy to pick up for lower skilled players. This character was so broken and led to him being banned
Big.
across some tournaments for a short time. That's not to say that you couldn't win with other characters at a high level, but looking at the leaderboards, they're mostly filled with this guy's mask. It just so happens that he was also my main. Not because he was top tier, but because me, as a young kid, thought, oh my god, he looks fucking sick, he's really
Meta Knight was also one of my mains for a while when I first started playing Smash before I had any idea what I was doing.
How is that even fair? You're just buttoning
I know I jumped around from like Samus and Link and Meta Knight and Brawl, Snake, I know. It was a bit
Knight being such an easy character to use didn't help the game's stigma of being a heavily casual experience. There were also many cut characters from the game planning stages. Geno, Villager, Pac-Man, and Crystal from Star Fox.
What do you mean by that?
Dixie Kong was also considered as a partner for Diddy and would function
So many
similar to
more.
Ice Climbers. Fossil and Minor
I got so many
also been planned
boots.
to be included. On the topic of cut content, a feature I'm glad was unfinished was the armor and weapon damage. The mechanic allegedly saw players' armor and weapons become more fragile and even break as the fight went on. There are even still texture files in the game that have alternate damaged wearing for Meta Knight and Captain Falcon. Whilst this sounds kind of
What should I do with
I'd like to
these?
see it maybe as an alternate mode, it directly punishes better players. As if you stay alive longer, your weapon and armor may just break. Thankfully, this was
Hold on.
covered in time constraints. I guess this is a good time to talk about the
Alex
actual-
said that Demi had connected my Nether Highway to the other Nether Highway. But I don't know where they connected it. Also, how well it's been done. Let's
So when I
see
think of a
right now.
celebration of Nintendo, I can't lie. The first thing I think of isn't, holy fuck, now I can see Mario's Levi's. Also, I have watched this countless times over the years and still can't see where Kirby even changes. This game came out during the height of
Signs.
Brown being the video game industry's favorite.
Oh no, what did you
So the game
happened
decided to
here?
go with a grittier looking art direction that, whilst not horrible, doesn't really hold up all too much today. Yoshi looks
I
sickly,
tried to
and characters can
keep
be a
high.
bit difficult to see at times due to
Yes,
the
here I
blurry
tried to
colours.
keep
This
things
might
as
have been
close to
done
how I
to make it so
found
Snake doesn't
them,
stand
but I
out too
was
much next to the
quite
furry
different.
yellow rat, but I doubt they designed the
Indeed.
entire game's art direction
What
around
happened here?
dealing with this one guy. Still, it gives the game a signature look that makes it immediately
This
identifiable
is
with the other
yeah,
games.
this is regular
The thing
ice.
that Brawl still holds over all other Smash Bros. Games, though,
Happened
is the
here.
single-player experience. Brawl is the same stuff as Melee: target test, home run contest, multi-man smash, event missions, classic and all-star mode. But what sets Brawl apart to this day
I gotta fix
is the
this. I don't even-
subspace emissary.
I'm guessing that
What
she
does
just
name mean? I have no clue. And I
dug
don't
out a
know.
bunch.
This was Avengers Endgame before Endgame. This was an actual
A bunch of
story
netherrack.
about Smash Bros. Brawl about you know, I have no clue what this was about. Okay, so even after
See.
conducting some research, I still don't understand. So it's about
Oh,
this
hold on.
army called the Subspace Army, commanded by this dude called the Ancient Minister, and they want to turn all the world into subspace.
What the hell is even that?
But this was all created by a guy named Taboo, who captured Master Hand and used Mr. Game & Watch to create his army. Yeah, okay, I'm not even going to bother anymore. You lost me at Mr. Game & Watch being used to create a terrorist organization. The entire campaign is about 8 hours, and whilst it can be pretty repetitive and the enemies sadly have no connection to any Nintendo franchise, which I reckon was a missed opportunity, it's really fun, especially with a friend. The mode featured co-op, where you and
Why
a
not
friend
copy
each
paste
select a
that?
character after a cutscene plays, and then play through the side-scrolling levels together. It's kind of like a side-scrolling platforming beat-em-up hybrid kind of game. Not too dissimilar from Kirby, which makes sense considering Sakurai is also the creator of Kirby. Oh yeah, and how could I forget the cutscenes? There's almost an hour's worth of computer animated cutscenes that are so weirdly cool. Some of them have a lot of action, a lot of suspense, or child death, but what I really love is the idea of Solid Snake beating the shit out of Mr. Game & Watch. They look pretty amazing and still hold up today. As a little bonus fact, this mode also spawned the longest fanfiction in the history of media.
True, I forgot about this.
Containing over 4,100,000 words. J.R.R. Tolkien couldn't have even dreamed of this. Speaking of those cutscenes, the opening cutscene music for Brawl
Smash players.
completely changed the course of human history. Whilst I still prefer the animated opening of Melee, and I deeply miss that dude that yells,
Miller! Yeah, they need to bring that back, dude.
I still think about that Brawl opening about 6 times a day, in between mental breakdowns. Smash Brawl was also the most heavily modded entry. Mods like the famous Project M completely change the
now-
game's mechanics and make the game a lot faster and play more like Melee. In addition, they also add new characters, movesets, stages, and music. It was also very easy to mod this game. Like, for Nintendo, this was concerningly straightforward.
So,
The
yeah, it doesn't
community
look
for
like anything
this game
happened
is
here.
one of the most
It's good.
dedicated ever. Project M was developed over 4 years.
I'm kinda
and
upset
there's
if,
more
like,
just like it. There's Project
that had
Plus
been
and Project
modified.
MDX Remix, which compiles a ton of
But
good mods in one package.
guess not.
If you ever play
And
Red Dead
so,
Redemption,
let
I
me
would highly
dump
recommend
all
it.
of this extra armor that I
It's
acquired.
completely different. There's also a ton of other stuff to love about Brawl.
The other.
You could play demos of classic Nintendo games to see where the characters started out, trophy collecting, sticker collecting, music collecting. This game is full of content. Look, Super Smash Bros. Brawl may have not been the best entry in the series when it comes to competitive play. Hell, there's even an argument to be made that it's the worst. But it's perhaps the most varied and unique game in the series. The art style, gameplay, and mode set it apart from the rest. If I could only play one Smash game for the rest of my life, then it probably wouldn't be this one.
Gotcha, bitch.
But if I was allowed to install mods,
It probably wouldn't be this.
compelling case.
Alright, who's this? Where am I? Am I at the base? Oh, I am. Jake's house. There's James's house. We're gonna steal. We're gonna steal. We're gonna go and give Jake a couple gifts here. Steal. Steal? Just really give him all stuff that I don't want. Quite a lot of bricks. Oh, the housewarming gift, of course. Oh, that's the cave that James goes to. That. I'm sure they'll be using that for something soon. I do my. So honestly, like it'll be too big of a deal to fix. Oh. Or to like modify. Let's see. We'd have to like. I'll fix this later. This is a later problem. Right now, oh wait, no, I still get stone. I love how you can't really tell how fast you're going. Zoom. Slow. Breakneck speeds. It's comp. Has that always been there? I've seen it like that. Help. Oh. Let's get the next video queued up.
This one. It's late at night, and as you sink into the warmth of your bed covers, you reach onto your bedside table. You feel that small plastic slab bringing it towards you as you flip it open, and hear that familiar chime. In 2004,
See, I never heard that. I got the
walked onto
3DS.
stage at E3 to present to the world the Nintendo DS.
That's what I was raised on.
At the time, the DS was marketed as a third pillar to Nintendo's console lineup. This would make it the DS, the GameCube, and the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, just like how the Switch wasn't meant to replace the 3DS. Not sure why Nintendo thought we'd buy this, considering the DS can play Game Boy Advance games.
Can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
When the DS released in November of 2004 for
Alright,
$150, it was clear this thing
Cobblestone.
was the successor to Nintendo's Game Boy line. Keep in mind, at the time, Nintendo had used the Game Boy name for over 15 years. So this DS was something Nintendo wasn't all too sure of at the time. Needless to say, they had nothing to worry about.
15
The DS was
years?
my
Oh,
first
that's
console.
literally your entire
The
childhood.
first I played, but the first console I had all
And no
to
wonder they'd
myself.
be
I remember going
cautious
to a friend's
about
house
that.
one day, and both him and his brother were playing on their DSs. One of them passed the console to me so I could have a go, and bam! I developed a lifelong addiction that has severely affected my banking account and my ability to retain concentration. I don't remember when I got my DS, but I remember walking into a store with my mum as she bought me that early birthday present.
Copy that.
A black DS Lite. She said I could get one game. I remember back to the game I played at my friend's house a few months before.
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart DS. So without
Yes,
hesitation,
sir.
that's my mum for Spider-Man 3. The game
That's
sucks,
Spider-Man.
and I don't want to talk about it. This was the first Nintendo handheld to feature plastic game cases, which gave it a
Oh,
premium feel, just
I
like
will
the
not
home
die.
Picking up my first game, which
I will
I'm
not
sure
die in
people can
vain.
relate to this one, but in the land down under, games used to come in these behemoth cases that were almost twice the size of normal games. I know
Stick
that
the
Europe also had these cases, but I'm not sure if they later also changed them to the normal sized American cases, which
They also has to die
Australia
here.
later did. One of the many code names for the DS during its development was the Nintendo Nitro. A fun leftover from this name is how on each DS cartridge the serial number starts with an NTR. Another code name was the City Boy. This name was in order to appeal to a younger demographic. Somehow, a few weeks later,
Somehow.
my birthday rolled around, and I was blessed with a copy of Mario Kart DS. This game was more common than the Plague, but unlike the Plague, this one had Luigi, one of the most beloved Mario Kart games. It was the first time you could play a console-quality Mario Kart game on the go. Sorry, Super Circuit.
You guys all think you're so much better than me.
Oh, Meg,
Super
that is
Circuit?
the least fancy thing I
Wait, Super Circuit?
The game used 3D models for the characters, which was a first for the handheld titles. You could customize your cart, emblem, and use them on the 8 amazing tracks in the
Oh,
game, not to mention the battle modes. This game was full of charm, with its
it
amazing
comes.
soundtrack,
Oh,
distinct colors, and detailed sprite
will this
work.
crash my
Mario
computer?
Kart DS was weird in that, depending on what cart you chose, it would affect the item luck that you had. Thankfully, this never returned, because this feature sucked. Some of my most beloved memories come from this game, like all the times I stayed at my friend's beach house. There was no better feeling than rolling a blue shell and sending it up to my friend who was sitting in another room, and then yell across the house. We'd play into the latest hours of the night, dubbing the winner of each cup.
I remember
This is also a perfect transition into one of the
my friends and I used to play Smash Brothers on the 3DS.
This feature allowed you
Together
to play
for
multiplayer with your friends, only
youth
if
group
one
on
of you owned the
Wednesdays.
game. This would often come with some caveats though, longer load times and locked content, for example. But mostly it just let other people know that you were Pavo for not owning the game. Such as in Mario Kart, where players who didn't own the cartridge would be locked into playing Shy Guy. Another upgrade from the Game Boy was the wireless multiplayer, no longer requiring cables. One of my favorite games to play with friends was easily Mario Party DS. This is by far my favorite Mario Party,
Think so.
and that is totally, not at all, entirely, definitely 100% bias. Many of the minigames took advantage of each player having their own screen, such as in Camera Shy, where each player had to traverse a maze and find each other and snap a photo in order to win. The game
How
took
well
advantage of
this-
so many of
how
the
good this
DS's
world
features,
looks.
dual screens, microphones,
The lighting,
and
the
touchscreens.
shaders.
This console sold
It
so
all
well,
comes together.
primarily because of how appealing it was to casuals. I mentioned the touchscreen pulled a lot of people in. Games like Nintendogs and Brain Age were under the umbrella of touch generation games. These were titles on the DS that were meant to appeal to a more casual and mature audience, and they really
Me?
did.
Here I come.
The DS came out in a time where touchscreen devices were in their infancy. Typically, they were unresponsive and inaccurate, but the DS was the first time I remember using a touchscreen and it feeling like a one-to-one feedback. The DS also came with a stylus to make it easier, of which many of these stylus were lost to the fiery flames of Mount Doom, never to be seen again. The feature was such a selling point for the console that it was a key part of its marketing for some time, with the tagline, "Touching is good." Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Touching is
Check out
good.
this advertisement from back in the day.
By that Nintendo. Oh, I forgot how weird game advertisements used to be. What do you mean by that? Yeah.
Just sat down.
The marketing of the DS was strange. At first it started out kind of like the PS3 with these mysterious, futuristic, dystopian ads. Then it was more upbeat ads with older people and teenagers, and then ads with Beyonce. Do you actually think she ever played this thing outside of the ad? It seemed like everywhere you went, schools, airports, malls, even the peaks of Mount Everest, you would see a DS. That's not a joke either. Mountain climbers Neil Mueller and Chris Grubb took their DSs along with them on the trek up Mount Everest, and among all of the electronics that they took with them, the DSs were some of the only ones that didn't break. Black,
I was
pink,
gonna
and
say, I'm
white
like,
were the most
I'd
common
imagine that
colors
they'd
I
probably have
saw,
some trouble
but there
running
was
there,
one
but
I never remember
knowing
seeing.
Nintendo.
The DS had two main revisions. The
Isn't
one
there a
most
fake
people
metal
are
that people
familiar
say
with
their
is
stuff's
the
made out
DS
of?
Lite. Released in
Tindium?
2006, the DS Lite had
Just,
a sleeker design,
unbreakable?
brighter screen and longer battery life, and a larger stylus, which still didn't help it from getting lost. But the DS came out in 2004. Yes, well, the original DS model looked like this. It's
Oh, with
definitely
the
got character.
clamshell.
Look, I really like this
The
design.
laptop
It's
design.
very early 2000s. Reminds me of a futuristic panini
Don't.
press. This thing
Futuristic
was
press.
huge. I wouldn't be surprised if a few people got pulled over at airport security thinking that this thing was a bomb. I did own this model. I picked it up a few years ago. But during the heyday of the DS, I didn't know a single soul who owned one.
True.
I saw the
I've never seen
Super
anybody with an
Mario
OG
DS
store.
tons of times without ever seeing this thing. There was also the DSi, but I feel like this was more of its own console and less of a revision. It added a camera, a
Heck?
proper home menu.
When I told my dog
screen.
bit me,
feel
I was
this
like-
was more of its own console. Just a quick side note, were the black DSs just built worse? All of my friends who had a black DS broke it at some point, including me. My top screen just wouldn't work at certain angles after a few years, which resulted in me eventually being given a light blue as a replacement gift. The power of the DS isn't anything insane today, but at the time, the 3D graphics were amazing. One of the biggest showcases for the DS was Super Mario 64 DS. This launch title was the first 3D Mario that could be played on the go, showing off how
My
the Nintendo
first
64
Mario
classic
was
could be
Super Mario
remade and
3D
look even
World.
better than the original on a
Great game. I remember playing it on the GameStop demo console. Me and my friend went to check. I think we were with his dad to get something. I can't remember what, but we had some time on our hands and we're like, oh, let's go to the GameStop that's like next door. So we went and they had one, and immediately I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like,
for example,
see it coming out. 3D World had the best use of the technology, hands down.
And Metroid.
And thankfully I was blessed enough to get it for Christmas that year.
Phoenix Wright, Castlevania, the Lego games, Grand Theft Auto, even Call of Duty was on this thing. Don't try it though. Speaking of first introductions, this was my first Zelda game that I played. The Phantom Hourglass. I think I played it for maybe an hour and then never played it again. I just never felt like I was in control of Link. I felt with the stylus controls, I was more just pointing him where to go. Not a bad game by any means, but if you're looking for an introduction to Zelda, I wouldn't recommend this one. But I would be doing myself and a large amount of people a disservice if I neglected to mention the
You guys gotta
Mario
come
Kart.
up.
Now, I have never and would never dream of pirating a game, let alone hundreds, but on one fateful day, I just so happened to go to a friend's house. With my DS in hand, I slipped, causing me to fall towards the floor, laying on which was an R4 cartridge that happened to lodge itself directly into the empty slot of my DS. As is evident by this 100% accurate retelling, this was completely out of my control. The R4 in R4 stood for
Client slipped and fell and got those games pirated onto a system.
And homebrew to be booted from a micro SD card that was inside of the cartridge. For me and many others, it came with over 100 pre-installed games. These things were so rampant that the level of piracy is unimaginable. One of the DS's best-selling games was Pokemon Platinum, which sold around 2.7 million copies in Japan and was illegally downloaded around 2.1 million times.
Gosh.
Needless to say, the Big N was not all too pleased. The portability of the DS is unmatched. Sony's competitor, the PSP, was far larger and used discs, which made cutting it around a lot more difficult, whereas the DS could just fit right in your pocket. One of the more unique additions to the DS was PictoChat. The application allowed you to send messages to chat rooms of people near you. Long car rides were made infinitely more
used it,
competitive
but I heard it
after an
was
intense game of Mario Kart. You can join a chat
interesting,
room and draw messages while your only friend that
interesting
has Mario
feature.
Party boots
Nostalgic
up and
feature,
starts another
sure.
lobby. The portable nature of the DS made RPGs a perfect fit, as their long nature made it so you could pick up and play at any time, and maybe just clock in another 5 minutes of progress. There were plenty of RPG games on the DS. The Mario and Luigi series, which is my personal
Fire Emblem, I
favorite,
think, right?
Golden Sun, Chrono Trigger, and, of course, Pokemon. Now, I must admit, I'm not an RPG fan.
Or did Fire Emblem not come to the US until the 3DS?
The only one I've
That might
ever
have been the
gotten
case.
halfway through was Emerald, so I'm not even remotely equipped to talk about these games. So I won't. But from what I've seen and heard, the DS was home to some of the greatest entries in the franchise. Pokemon Black and White, Hard Gold, and Soul Silver are some of the ones I've heard been really good.
Some of the ones I've heard being really.
Mario and Luigi, specifically,
Me, honestly,
is my favorite
played it, but
RPG
I've heard
of
it's
all time.
really
These
good.
games are known for their endless charm and unique art style. I remember being given this game just before a family dinner. With no other kids around, I sat playing this game and was hooked. It took me 46 hours to beat this, according to my save file. Mostly because I got lost and couldn't find where to go, so I didn't play the game for several years, only to return and realize I was about 5 minutes away from the final boss battle. As you might be able to tell, Mario was the main feature on my DS screen. New Super Mario Bros. Still remains one of the greatest 2D platformers of all time. It had been over half a decade since an original 2D Mario
That's
was released.
true.
And it revived not only the 2D Mario series, but sparked a long missing interest in
I think it not only revived it, I think it like stuffed its corpse with the 8 different copies of the game that followed up with it.
RPGs, party games, story, puzzle solving. This thing had it all. I reckon in a few years we're going to see a heavy price increase in the resale value of DS
Oh, you know what
consoles and games
too.
as more people remember the good times they spent on this thing. Even though the Switch is portable, it doesn't really have the same feel as the DS. The DS was a solely portable console, while the Switch
bless
is
me,
like a home
bless me.
console
Excuse
that
me.
you can take on the go. The
Back
DS
and
felt
get
like
more
a social system with PictoChat and download
stuff.
play. It let you, with your friends or anyone
See
you met,
if
play games together instantly.
Have done
I think
their
that's why it's remembered
business
so
yet.
fondly. You could play with anyone at any time with no barriers to entry. All you needed was a DS. You didn't even need to own the same game. With over 152
Where
million
is the
sold,
child?
the console remains a historical landmark in
One.
Nintendo's history. Makes you think. Maybe the two-screen thing is a massive deal maker. I mean, surely if you sell another console with two screens, it'll sell just as
I
well.
know, I imagine.
Oh,
So,
Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God. I don't know, but today seems kinda
I like these little retrospective videos. I like to hear the opinions of people cared enough about the subject.
in 1999, Nintendo released Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64,
go.
a quirky crossover fighting game between
Actually
Nintendo's
play.
most iconic characters. Instead of defeating your opponent by depleting their health, the objective was
The amount of XP needed to level up was
It's
ridiculous.
action
But one thing that's
battle
not
pass
fun is
video.
Halo Infinite's Battle Pass. Halo Infinite's Battle Pass is bullshit.
I hear the battle pass for Halo Infinite is actually like
Newsflash,
one of the
they
better
made
ones.
The game free to play. Challenge swaps and double XP tokens. Barf.
800,000 XP in a 9-week period, and you're mainly just getting filler content with icons, voice lines, and sprays.
Nothing better than progressing through a whole play session of Call of Duty just to get a charm.
That's for Cold War.
That's true.
Why do they offer you to buy things on the menu for the wrong game? Who does this? What?
For those unfamiliar with battle passes, it's a monetization system where players earn upgrades and cosmetics by simply playing the game and completing various challenges. Generally, battle passes are seasonal, being active for 3 to 4 months, and are then replaced by a new season of content which starts the process all over again. Battle passes are a way for companies to keep players hooked as they're incentivized to
I love how I
spend on the
still
game to
slide
fully
on.
progress through its battle pass. One of the earliest examples of a battle pass is in Dota 2. Leading up
Dota
to the
2?
biggest tournament of the year, the International, Valve released the Compendium on May 6th, 2013. The Compendium was a battle pass
Official.
that slowly provided players with extra in-game cosmetics, such as a new courier skin. But apart from just playing the game to progress through the Compendium, players could also do things like predict tournament results.
Oh,
The
come
result
back,
was
no,
an
no.
all-in-one answer to many of the community's desires. Along with providing fans with some extra perks during the tournament, 25% of the Compendium's $10 price tag went directly to the prize pool, which provides an extra little incentive to teams competing as well. So how successful was the first ever Compendium/Battle Pass? In the end, it added $1,274,380 to the initial $1.6 million prize pool, making it the largest prize pool for an esports tournament up until that point. Eventually, the record would be broken just a year later by the International 2014, which saw a whopping
Kill me.
$9,323,000.
But I wonder if I can stand in this and not
added to the prize
really
pool
die.
through that year's Compendium. Year after year, the Compendium has proven to be a huge success for the Dota 2 scene, as 8 of the top 10 prize pools in esports history are owned by the International. While the Compendium was a proof of concept for the new monetization model, the Battle Pass really exploded in 2018 with the release of one of the biggest games ever. Fortnite became a
Guys,
global
like-
sensation for the simple fact that it was free to play. All you had to do was click download, and you could start playing games immediately.
Oh, I
Despite being
can
free to
live
play,
it.
You could spend money on things like loot boxes and the Fortnite Battle Pass, which cost $10. This Battle Pass, much
Battle
like the
Pass.
Compendium, gave access to tons of
What's up?
cosmetics and items as long as you kept.
Oh, you
playing
messed
the game.
up.
If you managed to finish one season's Battle Pass, you would unlock the next season's Battle Pass, incentivizing you to grind until completion.
Right amongst us. I love how the zombies will attack the skeletons if
The
they've been hit.
first Fortnite Season 3 Battle Pass saw 5 million Battle Pass purchases, totaling more than $50 million.
Right.
I don't know about you, but making $50 million in one day sounds
Soft.
pretty good. To put it lightly, Hector said, quote, "That's a good business model. I think a lot of publishers are going to copy that and move to cosmetics so nobody complains about pay to win." Almost every multiplayer game from Valorant to Teamfight Tactics has a battle pass of some sort. Unfortunately, not all games are as sensible as Fortnite when it comes to monetizing, and many battle passes have become a cash grab at the expense of player experience. Frustrating challenges, unreasonable time commitments, predatory practices. So how did we get here? After Fortnite proved the model to be a good one, why are so many companies squeezing their player base dry? First, it's important to acknowledge the big monetization method that the Battle Pass replaced: loot boxes. For the most part, the word loot
That
box
should
links to
be
other words like
enough.
rigged, and straight up gambling. As a matter of fact, governments
I hope it's
around
enough for
the
that
world
last
started
little bit.
looking at loot
Then I have to
boxes
do
as a
that
form of
second
gambling,
level.
with some, like the Belgian government,
That'll be fine.
banning them outright. The fact that loot boxes were becoming so polarizing was a big reason that the Battle Pass became so popular so quickly. Unfortunately, as of late, developers are finding ways to squeeze players for more and more money. A great example of this is League of Legends and its event passes. It started as a battle pass of sorts, with missions that provided rewards and the ability to earn special tokens to buy event-exclusive items. Initially, the pass had amazing value for
probably
even casual
this
players, thanks to the variety of ways you could complete missions.
unblock to the right. That way it'd be a
tokens just by playing the game.
yeah,
Riot
connected
began
track.
gradually nerfing the pass, taking away incentive to play game modes like ARAM, and reducing the rewards earned through challenges as a whole. On top of that, Riot made it more difficult for you
I don't know if I want to
earn
redo my
tokens
basement
by
either.
basing
Like,
points earned on the length of each game. The community did the math
Like
and
it's
realized that the new
decent
system
as it is,
provided
but
fewer tokens for
still
more
have a
game time,
bigger
especially because points
house,
didn't
I feel
carry over. So even if you played a 40-minute game and only needed a couple of points, most of that game time was effectively worthless. Another prime example of developers squeezing their player base is 343 Industries, who seriously butchered
Of Terraria?
Infinite's initial Battle Pass system.
Oh no, I'm
$10
thinking
for the base Battle Pass, or $10 plus a premium fee to instantly earn 25 levels. The Battle Pass seems pretty standard on the surface. However, the way you progressed through the Battle Pass was just not fun for anyone. While most Battle Passes allow you to make progress just by playing the game, doesn't really matter the mode, single player, multiplayer, co-op. Halo Infinite only allowed you to progress through challenges that were fairly hard to complete. In addition, rewards were few and far between, especially in the case of the free Battle Pass, and the rewards just weren't very good for the premium Battle Pass. It didn't even award credits to players, meaning if you completed the Battle Pass once, you'd have to shell out more money next season to start the process.
I hate when companies do that.
It felt like the Battle Pass was tacked
Please let me get the Battle Pass for
giving
next season by
crappy
completing
items
the one from
while
last
forcing
season.
players to buy actual good stuff in the store. While 343 quickly responded in Season 2 by providing more challenges that were a little bit easier to complete and frequent rewards for all tiers, it still showed that it's incredibly easy to make a Battle Pass that's a chore more than anything else. But there was one other key issue with the Halo Infinite Battle Pass that's prevalent in most other games. They take too long to grind. While the job of a Battle Pass is to keep a player focused on your game, many feel that it has the opposite effect on them instead. For the average person with a job and other responsibilities, the 1 or 2 hours of free time you have each day just doesn't feel like enough time to complete a season's worth of content. Even while a game like Apex Legends is fairly generous with the number of challenges it offers, they typically take quite a while to complete and make the game feel more like a second job than a leisure activity.
X-ray. I don't know why it does this, but it was funny.
Battle passes
There's
have
a
been in
no.
recent years, many game developers
There was a
feel
mineshaft right
under
underneath my.
pressure to
Apparently,
adopt the monetization model in order to
I knew there was one
attract
around here,
all of their
like
players'
caves. I
time.
think
As
further
Rob
that way.
Fahey, an editor for GameIndustry.biz puts it, quote, "There's going to be inevitable attrition from this business model overall, and many battle passes will fail simply because they're going head-to-head with a rival in a zero-sum competition for players' time and attention, not just their money." Ultimately, this competition for the player's attention ends up contributing to a toxic and stressful work environment in many game companies today. Take Fortnite as an example once again. When Fortnite started to become really, really popular, there was a huge demand for a constant stream of new content. This demand requires a lot of work, and things hit a boiling point when a report came out that revealed employees at Epic Games working 100-hour work weeks. So not only were players getting passes, those implementing them were being worked to the bone. The current free-to-play model is clearly a good one for making money, at least in multiplayer.
Absolutely horrible.
But what about
they had to work that long.
Joseph of Manchester Metropolitan University says, quote, "The dominance of the model also suggests that large narrative games are going to increasingly be considered an unacceptable risk for the digital games industry to produce. It is not that they will disappear, but that they will be given less priority and resources with time, in part because they are not as contingent and less likely to become a series of disguised shops. After all, game companies are businesses first and foremost, and if they are not making money for shareholders, what's the point?" What this has resulted in is many developers.
So I gotta figure out what I gotta. That was the other thing that.
Games that
so why I might change my basement, because
in Overwatch 1,
this beacon light's gonna be in this weird spot. If I
while also giving the option for people to spend money on more loot boxes
I could probably
to increase the odds of getting a good skin. While we've already talked about the predatory practices of loot boxes in Overwatch 1, there was a pretty good balance where casual players had a chance to earn cosmetics without spending money, while whales could roll until they had every skin and emote in the game.
That's what I did. I was free to play, and I got a lot of stuff over my
with a new
time playing the game.
A change that has been widely criticized by casual players who simply don't have time to grind for skins. Instead of receiving free stuff after each game, they're expected to grind through a set progression system that heavily favors those without jobs or family responsibilities. Once again, the goal is to retain player time and attention, not just their money. So where do we go from here? Despite all of the issues listed above, it's likely that battle passes are going to be around for the foreseeable future. So what can we as consumers do to make sure we don't get sucked in? Fahey summarizes the current situation, saying, quote, "Battle passes are the current meta of the industry's business model.
I don't know what it
Like
goes
all
to
metas,
after
this
this.
one will pass. There are already too many of these things, and unlike most forms of monetization, there's strictly a zero-sum game. Buying battle passes in multiple games is a time commitment almost nobody can afford. And after watching the clock run out on a battle pass that you've barely been able to enjoy due to work or personal commitments, few players will be willing to make a similar purchase again. That's not to say all battle
I don't know what they replace it with though.
Some games have created
I could see it going back to just like pay for what you.
community is satisfied with, such as Fortnite and Genshin Impact.
Although
But when every game has a battle pass, players are going to start missing
I don't know.
the
I feel like
of being
games
able to jump from
nowadays
game to game without
doing
feeling like
that
they're being
without
forced
offering an
into a
alternative for
situation where
stuff
they're not allowed to
puts
try
you
it
in a bad
and
light
fail.
into your.
Either
like,
way, with only so much time available each day,
I
the
think that
reality
you
is
gotta have
that
an
we're
like a
eventually
free
going to hit
alternative
a breaking
to
point. So the next time your
cosmetics and
favorite
stuff
game
that other
starts
people
the new
can.
battle pass season,
If you
ask
want to
yourself
go
if you
complete
really
on
need to
demand,
buy it, and whether the content
purchasing.
is truly worth it. Making smart decisions for your wallet and for your personal time will make the gaming experience so much more fun, especially when you don't have to worry about finding the optimal way to grind through a battle pass. What are your thoughts on battle passes? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Are they a way to make games interesting, or a sneaky way to make sure you're not playing anyone else's games? Let us know your thoughts in the comments
A
below.
little bit of both,
My
honestly.
name's Jonah. See you next time.
Yeah, I know I haven't playing much Valorant.
This video is made possible thanks
Just
to
because I had to get that Overwatch Battle
So
Pass.
Thank you to everyone on this list, and shout out to B, Cloud, QB, Foxy, Kiaostick, Pachanas, Shampoo, Spartacus, and Yashichi for being platinum supporters. And an extra special shout out to Marco for being our diamond supporter. Happy New Year, guys! Here's to a great 2023. If you want to talk to us, check out our Discord. If you want to support our channel and get info on unreleased videos, check out our Patreon. If you want to help us out in a different way, leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell to stay up to date is also appreciated.
Gotten maybe
My
one
name
or
is
two
Jonah.
thanks. I could
Thanks
see
for
us.
watching.
Hey, 42
Pushing it
here.
here.
I want to start this video with a confession.
A
Everything
little bit
you
of time,
think
so
you
we
know
might
about this
get-
channel is a lie. I,
You're
Aaron,
one done.
commonly known as 42, am not real. I am what is known as a deep fake, a digital construct built from the ground up for one purpose and one purpose
Stacks.
only: to control your
They
thoughts
still
and opinions.
go on the ground, honestly. They haven't.
Okay, sorry
Gone
to
by yet,
disappoint any
by now.
suddenly salivating skeptics out there. I actually am but a boring old meat and blood citizen of the United Kingdom, not a malicious AI that's trying to hijack your brain. Although admittedly, if I actually was one, I definitely deny it.
Now,
Anyway, I made up that strange claim to introduce you to something called dead internet theory. A fringe belief that the internet, as we
bro,
know it,
now I gotta do this.
died in
I can do
2016
this,
or possibly 2017. As ridiculous as that
I'd say
may
probably
sound,
first
the
out I wanna
hypothesis
do
here is actually kind of interesting. According
Block
to
it
the
out,
internet
like figure out
theory,
where I
sometime
actually
in the
want it
last
to
few years,
place.
the internet was taken over by bots. As
Probably
a result, the vast majority of what you see online,
place the blocks
forum
the
posts,
ones I want
Instagram
there.
accounts, Facebook pages, TikTok
And then
videos,
add the cross.
even news headlines, it's all fake. Bogus
also have to do
content cooked up by
giant
advanced AIs
tank too.
to make you buy certain things and think certain ways. As for the occasional real people you come across online, YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagrammers, and other so-called
They're all fake.
influencers, many of us are fake too, and the few that are real are just paid shills, mouthpieces for big business or government disinformation units seeking to influence and control. Now, I don't know about you guys.
The gym
but
is
I
gonna
always find
suck,
January to be a
but
slog, especially
I know
with
that
work.
the
So
exhaustion
emails
afterwards
and
is gonna
do's are
feel
built
so
up over
good.
Christmas and New Year. So
Please tell me
Right
we
now, taking an hour out of my morning just to cook breakfast isn't an option. But luckily, Huel is here to rescue my hectic mornings. For me, Huel is a nutritionally complete breakfast that I can make in literally 30 seconds. It fills me up, it has all the essential goodness
Let's test
that
this
humans
again.
need to function, and most importantly, it doesn't interrupt my workflow. To make a Huel shake, I simply add 500 ml of water to my Huel shaker bottle and 2 scoops of Huel powder and, well, give it a good shake. My favourite is this Black Edition cookies and cream. I can't believe this stuff is actually good for me because it's so rich in chocolate.
love the other thing just pumps out cobblestone. Actually, let me make sure that my iron farms work.
Huel contains no tricks. It's not a fad diet. It's just a no-fuss way to add some plant-based food into your life. It's packed with 26 vitamins and minerals. And it's
Oh,
gluten-free.
yeah.
I especially like to start my day on protein because protein is so essential to pretty much every function of the body. And each serving of Huel contains a massive 40 grams of protein and loads of
I get up there.
with less than 5% sugar. Did I mention it's also really affordable? So click the link in the description to try Huel today. If you use my special link, you'll be supporting the channel and you'll also get a free Huel shaker bottle. So don't miss out. Thanks to Huel for sponsoring this video.
They all
In
just
many ways,
suspended
the internet
animation
theory
until I
has
got there.
all the hallmarks of a ridiculous conspiracy cooked up by tinfoil hat-wearing cash
Are
barriers
there any?
on some obscure online forum. Which is actually no coincidence, because that's exactly where it
Oh
came
no, there's a
from.
bunch of.
The entire idea traces its roots back to a single 2021 post on a
Like,
website called Agora Road by a user known as Illuminati Pirate. Obviously. That's hardly a resounding endorsement for the authenticity of the theory, and yet, fast forward a couple of years, and people are still talking about it. The story's even being picked up by mainstream media. For whatever reason, despite its dubious origins, something about dead internet theory just seems to resonate with people. So, here's the million-dollar question. Is it actually true? Let's start by examining the core idea here. The
So
whole
torched
quirky
up.
concept is based on the notion that nothing online is quite what it seems. Maybe you've noticed it yourself.
It's not.
Perhaps you've even felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the internet. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Okay, so that was actually a mildly modified Morpheus quote from The Matrix.
Yeah.
But it could easily have been written for dead internet theory. It all seems to stem from the idea that there's something not quite right about the internet. That the wacky, creative online world that existed in the late 90s and early 2000s has somehow been replaced by a bland, homogeneous, capitalist machine where nothing is original and everything is recycled. You've probably noticed
Wait a minute,
this
that's
going
somewhere
on
on-
yourself. The same threads popping up on Reddit, old memes being revived on an endless loop, or the same old arguments being debated on Twitter and Facebook. Even the news sounds like a
Rift.
broken record most of
Oh,
the time.
almost.
Another celebrity's being cancelled, or there's going to be another blood moon or wolf moon or giant laser moon tonight that you just can't miss. According to Dead Internet Theory, the reason for all this repetition is simple. Almost everything we see online, the people we interact with, the videos we watch, the articles we read, the forums we contribute to, it's all made by bots looking to generate clicks for financial or political gain. If you've been around long enough to have surfed the internet on a dial-up modem, you've probably noticed for yourself that the World Wide Web of today is a very different place to the one you grew up with. Back in the day, if you weren't MSNing with your mates, you were checking out some weirdo's personal webpage about cuckoo clocks, watching someone trade a paperclip into a house, or buying a few pixels on the
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's still
website.
happening.
The internet of
Sure, there are
today is
still
rather
people who are
more
out there doing
generic.
thing.
Despite its unfathomable vastness, a staggering 43% of all internet bandwidth is consumed by the various websites and applications owned by just 6 megacorporations. Netflix,
Really?
Google, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, and Apple.
Well, Google is part
Those
of. Yeah.
wacky personal websites and blogs have been made redundant by the rise of Facebook and Instagram, and many of the more creative ideas that have cropped up over the years have slowly fallen by the wayside, to be replaced with endless online stores
Fine.
and venture capital-backed social media sites. Still, let's be honest for a second here. None of this is even remotely convincing evidence that most of the internet is fake. The internet today feels different because it is different. Like any new technology come cultural phenomenon, it's evolved and matured. The early internet was built by random basement-dwelling gnomes, exploring their creativity in a completely new way. The current internet is still built by weirdos. Sorry.
True.
Only these oddballs now head up some of the biggest companies on the planet. That means they're more interested in trying to satisfy shareholders and pad their bottom lines than fostering creativity and innovation.
Alright, first layer is done.
Information online, that's also easy to explain. Reddit threads pop up again and again because lots of people with similar thoughts and questions are too lazy to use the search function.
Got first layer done, that means all that's left is layer 2. I can take this down,
You see the same thing in fashion.
fill this in,
Sort of
and
style
figure out
comes
how I
over
want
the
to
years, but I'm pretty sure
structure.
nobody thinks Primark's being taken over by an evil AI. Because flares are doing the
garden.
rounds again. Are flares doing the rounds again?
Right.
The
Back to-
same is true of repeating news stories. We keep hearing about cancelled celebrities because famous people are just normal humans with thoughts and opinions. And as we all know, thoughts and opinions are now grossly offensive. And we're constantly being told about blood moons and blue moons and purple spotted moons because those are cyclical
Dogs.
events that occur every few years. None of this means the internet has died and gone to AI heaven. But this is where things get interesting.
I get that you
Because whilst dead internet theory isn't
Mark
a
a
very good description of the state of the World Wide Web today, it's a pretty good chance it's a scarily accurate depiction of the very near future. As you probably already know, bots are commonplace online, but you might be surprised to learn just how ubiquitous they really are. In 2021, they accounted for almost half of all internet traffic.
Really?
Some of
No
those
way.
bots are friendly, like chatbots, web scrapers, and that little paperclip from Microsoft Word. Others, making up a somewhat concerning 27% of all internet traffic, are decidedly unfriendly. Some are trying to trick you out of your hard-earned cash, whilst others want to influence your thoughts and opinions. Think of these malicious bots as the first signs of a cancer that might one day kill the internet for real. Of course, we can all spot a bot a mile away. The awkward, stilted language, the inability to respond coherently to questions, the sparsely populated user profiles with little to no activity. Or at least that's what most of us assume. But what happens when bots get so advanced that we can no longer tell human from machine? More
I
importantly,
really hope I'm not around for
when
that day.
comes, how will we even know? The answer, of course, is that we won't. And that tipping point might come sooner than you think. Deep language learning models like GPT-3 are already getting scarily good at producing human-like responses to almost any question or prompt. Lambda, a similar application developed by Google, is so good at acting like a human that it famously convinced Google engineer Blake Lemoine it was actually sentient. Rumour has it
Does that
Lambda
actually
even
happen?
hired itself a lawyer to act on its behalf when the story hit the headlines in the summer of 2022. Just let that sink in for a second. A computer program got so good at acting like a human, it literally hired legal help. In other words, the days of recognizing a bot thanks to its poor conversational skills will soon be behind us. Add this remarkable ability to create believable natural language to the ridiculously impressive deepfakes and AI-generated faces we've all seen doing the rounds recently. This person doesn't exist, by the way. Or this person, or this one. And it's only a matter of time before bots will be capable of so convincingly impersonating real people that we will never know the difference. We humans have to spend years eating, growing, and
At that point, you just
trying
gotta
to
unplay
convince
it.
people to
Shut
have
it down.
sex with us before we're able to make copies of ourselves.
Experiment's
Our
over,
numbers
folks.
are constrained by
It was a good
food
run.
supplies, housing, and access to clean water and medicine.
I wonder if
Bots,
if
on
the
the
internet
other
ever came to an end.
have no such
I think it'd
worries.
be
Their numbers are essentially limited.
well. It would
It
be
isn't hard to imagine a world where there are
poetic if we got like a
millions, even
internet
billions
montage
of bots to
over its
every
entire
human
history,
on
but then where would you put it, right? You know, if the internet's ending, you're not gonna put it online. So it would be like the last viral video, right? Everyone would have had to seen it, but it would have had to been transmitted in a way outside the internet.
Every other social media platform too. Elon Musk tried
But
to pull out
the
of
last viral video,
because
actually,
he believed at least
it's an
20%
interesting
of
thought.
all accounts on the site.
It's probably gonna be.
The vast majority of these bogus accounts.
It's gonna be one of two things. It's gonna be a meme,
created en masse
really
by
stupid meme,
cheap software, so
or it's gonna be a video or something so catastrophic
but
that
imagine a world where those
it's
accounts are populated with
it can't be avoided anymore.
portraits and
So
backdoor
people are gonna be looking at it,
language programs
and it's gonna make it go viral.
GPT-3. In the era of fake news, we're all too familiar with the idea that not everything we see online can be trusted. That there are people out there who want to make us think certain things or behave in certain ways to suit their agendas. From fake reviews on Amazon, right up to those spurious ads that show up all around the internet around the time of political elections. As bots get more convincing, it's an absolute certainty that people will try and use them to gain money, power, or both. And that will inevitably mean a huge influx of bad bots generating fake content to sway public opinion and garner artificial engagement. Cambridge Analytica used Facebook data to create micro-targeted ads. But the next step might be micro-targeted bots. An artificial construct that shares its target's interests and belief systems.
That's
Perhaps
scary.
even with AI-generated physical characteristics that play up to the target's sexual preferences. These bots could have realistic conversations with millions of unsuspecting marks on
Oh my gosh.
to influence their political opinions or coax money from them. And when you literally can't tell if who you're talking to is a bot, how do you even begin to stop something like
Oh my gosh, it's hot.
Once bots like these become
15 more
truly indistinguishable from
for the
real
stream though,
humans
so
and cheap and
bit
accessible
at it.
enough that bad actors can spread
Back
them
to
far
the
and wide,
cobblestone
the
generator.
internet, as we know it, really may come under existential threat. What's really scary is that the more you think about all of this stuff, the more inevitable it starts to feel. The technology will get good enough to fool us, and there will be people willing to use that to achieve their own ends. Okay, it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Definitely on me.
On the one hand, I'm telling you that
Unless-
the internet isn't dead yet, and that all these problems lie in humanity's future. On the other hand, I'm telling you that there will come a time when we can no longer distinguish real users from bots. So, how do I know that time hasn't already come?
Oh, because we can still
I don't.
determine what
It's
bots are
impossible to
what.
say with absolute certainty that more advanced versions
Yeah, with the
of
time.
technologies I've talked about in this video aren't already being put to use by bad actors unknown. But as of today, it seems pretty unlikely. After all, the kinds of bots required to truly fool people simply don't exist yet on the free market. So the only people who could possibly
Time for
have
the-
developed them are world governments
them.
or major tech companies.
Us.
In other words,
Not
for
part of
dead
them,
internet
like that
theory
group.
to be true today, it would require a global conspiracy at the very highest level. And that seems unlikely. Still, the rise of bots is a serious threat, and both big business and world governments are taking it incredibly seriously. Several tech firms, including Microsoft, are already working on software to detect deepfakes, and various high-profile computer scientists are trying to figure out ways to embed watermarks in output text from programs like GPT-3. You could say we're arming ourselves for a future war. Because dead internet theory has had the wrong name all along. It isn't a theory,
It's a
it's a
fact.
prophecy.
Or that's even worse.
Thanks for watching.
Technological. See. Oh.
We can't be together anymore. Okay. Well, I guess you always have Kelso to fall back on. Or Fez.
That's ridiculous. Fez and I will never happen.
Oh no.
These videos are not for children. If you're a children, then piss off.
Hey there, it's me, your least favorite YouTuber.
Gosh.
And that 70s show created a lot of great.
Heard of this guy before, but I don't know if I've ever seen. I think I've seen a couple of his videos.
Talk to you about one of the not so great ones. Actually, Today, I'm
The Fez and Jackie story.
the worst of all of it. You see, that 70s show consisted of the main cast of 6. You had Eric the nerd, Donna the tomboy, Jackie the material girl, the foreign exchange student, Hyde the conspiracy theorist, and Kelso the dumb one. From seasons 1 through 4, Jackie dated Kelso on and off. Their relationship made a lot of sense as the two were very similar. The two were look-obsessed, narcissistic, and completely oblivious to the world outside of their reflection.
And they're still like that, sort of. Their that 90s show appearance.
A lot of back and forth cheating. At the start of season 5, following yet another breakup, it's revealed that Jackie has since moved on and started dating Kelsey's friend Hyde, who is her polar opposite. But sometimes opposites attract. And this odd couple won over the hearts of show's fans rather quickly. Even if they were a little bit apprehensive at first about the pairing, the two worked very well together. And their back and forth banter made for entertaining segments. Unfortunately,
Oh wait, that's
the
not.
new writers who took
Wait a
over
minute.
the show in the later seasons believed otherwise. And the two were
What's over there?
unceremoniously split up under awful pretenses. I could go on, and to be honest, I probably will, but that's a video for a different day. After breaking
I can't remember what the reason was that they broke up on that show.
marrying a stripper, we've all
Oh yeah.
the show made the decision to go in a confusing direction. Suddenly, Jackie was head over heels, not for Michael Kelso, not for Stephen Hyde, but for Fez. Fez, who she never showed any feelings for in the past. Fez, the guy that she's turned down on multiple occasions. Fez was always the comedic creep who drooled over the girls in the group, and he did so while they dated his best friends at the time. She was pretty weirded out by Fez, until she got to know him. Then they were partners in crime, but, you know, she was still weirded out by him from time to time. Fez put the moves on Jackie time and time again. He was met with
That clip.
rejection each and every time. Even if Jackie did admit that he was a good kisser, she still showed
Oh wait, I
no
gotta put this in the thing.
Fez and would casually decline his offers and passes. But Fez was persistent. He never let his stop him as he spent all of his screen time hitting on him and trying to creep on his best friend's girlfriends. It makes sense to me that Fez would pursue Jackie. There's merit to it as it's happened a lot before. That was built into the character and the plot. So I guess one could potentially make a case for Fez wearing her down over time.
We're gonna my theory to the tester. Oh no. Okay, I can get inside.
It was actually Jackie that made the decision to pursue Fez. But when Jackie fesses up and confesses her feelings,
We're gonna try Operation Build Safe.
because he doesn't want to be her last option. Which is weird because that certainly didn't stop him before, and he wasn't ever even an option. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense when as recently as earlier that same season, Fez was still trying to get with Jackie, making several mentions of it prior to this, including one episode where he once again went all in for a kiss. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills! Fez not only turns her down, but he also low-key shames her. Not only does that not make sense for a character who is an open deviant, but his reaction also feels quite harsh for somebody who's shown to be so emotional. Afterward, the two start to feud, with Jackie taking offense to being turned down for the first time in her life, and deciding to take revenge on Fez.
Realized my mistake here.
His life. And here's a part that I have a really big problem with. This season robs Jackie of all the development she's seen in the previous few seasons, all in favor of having her go back to the caricature that she was in the first couple seasons of the show. They stripped her of her development. So instead of Jackie handling the rejection in some mature manner, she instead becomes overly vindictive. She destroys all of Fez's belongings, rips the buttons out of his shirts, ruins his car. And then Fez, in response, meets her bad behavior with more bad behavior, deciding to dye her hair green. Fez makes Jackie feel so bad that she threatens to move out of their living situation and end their friendship. So he, in turn, decides to go back to wherever he's originally from, only for Jackie to then feel bad and convince him to stay by saying she wants to date him. Listen, I always knew these two characters
I can't make
would be
it.
bad for each other. I just didn't know that they would be this
Oh, I
toxic
can make it.
for
Let's.
each other. And they're not even dating yet. This is just foreplay, leading into a relationship. All of this just feels like a really forced sequence of events. It's like the show tried to cram a series-long will they or won't they into the end of the show. The timeline is all off, which I guess is kind of right on for this series. I mean, it took
So this was a good idea in practice, or in idea, but getting the dogs to help me survive the night while I build.
Suddenly getting feelings for Fez
isn't working out exactly
felt
how I
like an unfathomably dumb decision, which becomes even dumber when you realize that the show didn't put them together at the end of the show's run. They put them together at the end of the show's run. This plot point gets all of 5 episodes, and that's not nearly enough time to endear an audience to the dynamic, but it's also somehow 6 episodes too many. Everything about this felt fake. Their relationship, the circumstances that led up to the relationship, the 2 actors acting as if they were in a relationship, it was just all fake. I mean, yeah, I
Maybe I'll have to do.
But it's a bitter pill to swallow when everything that came before this felt so much more real. These characters felt real. You bought into their friendships,
I can't tear off.
and because a lot of this show felt genuine, this stands out as a piece of it that is astoundingly inauthentic by comparison. It wasn't the logical closure point for either character. Unfortunately, their relationship feels very loveless. Not only from the lack of chemistry between the 2 actors playing them, but from the lack of care and devotion dedicated to this relationship by the Season 8 writers of the show. I mean, the last season of that 70s show makes Jackie come off as a boy-crazy serial dater. She starts Season 8 trying to fix things with Hyde, only to then...
Dogs, I'm begging you.
Kelso, and then
Just
finally,
jump up.
she ends up with Fez. That was all within the course of 22 episodes. And then the Jackie and Fez arc only lasts the last 5 episodes of the series. And
Is it
within those
really?
episodes, they're really only an official item for less than an episode and a half. On top of that,
let's
prior
go.
to them actually dating, the 2 treat each other significantly worse than they ever had previously. It's like the potential romance comes malice and petty revenge, repeatedly. This pairing sees the 2 at their absolute worst. And because that's all
you could do that whole
shown, it leaves the audience with an
block
awful
jump.
impression of where this relationship is going to go. That's not to say that her previous relationships were picture perfect. I mean,
They're going
both
crazy.
Hyde and Kelso cheated on her. Both Hyde and Kelso could also say the wrong thing and upset her. But Jackie and Fez were just plain mean to each other. I think that romantically linking them together did a disservice to both characters and the actual friendship between these 2 characters. I can honestly say I was always a fan of a Jackie and Fez team-up, but a Jackie and Fez hookup? Yeah, no thanks. Look, I get it. Some people want to see the geek always chasing the girl finally get her. But Fez wasn't sweet on Jackie. It was never played for Oz, it was creepy behavior that was played for laughs. No one was rooting for Fez to end
I got no
I assure you.
HP or not no HP.
Not a soul. Almost exactly 0 people who watched the show were hoping that was the end goal. Generally speaking, fans didn't want to see Jackie end up with Fez.
Oh,
That's a
dog,
general statement. Like if you close off anything else about what I'm about to say, any other information, that information stands on its own.
Hey, careful what you wish for. They should be saying careful what you don't wish for. That!
But in addition to not wanting to see her with Fez, a lot of people hated this decision even more because a lot of fans still wanted to see Jackie end up with Hyde. And the fans that didn't want that wanted to see her get back together with Kelso. Either or would have been a much more acceptable option than ending the show with Jackie and Fez together. But both of those couplings had fans. But you'd be hard-pressed to find even one fan of Fez.
The average Jackie and the Fez.
What was this for? What was the benefit of it? You could have very easily put Fez with just about anybody. The final season has a complete overhaul of his character and has this
Move, dogs! Oh my gosh.
become a total ladies' man.
Okay, we're gonna have to find a different.
Put him with anyone you had to. Jackie, on the other hand, was just taken out.
Dogs
of a
are not
relationship
working.
That helped her grow and develop as a character. A relationship that, despite its dysfunction, was symbiotic.
But we'll have to figure that out next time as it's time
Again, I don't want
and
to talk about them
tree.
too much here because that is a video I should make at a later point in time.
Sit.
If you'd be interested,
What happens if I
let me know in the comments
don't make my dog sit as I log off? And I don't want to find out. So
But my point here is that the show took Jackie out of a surefire working thing to throw her into an untested failure. They could have chose to stay the course and have the 2 end the show together with marriage ahead of them, but instead they put her with Fez. And the show ends with her starting.
alright folks, it's been a long stream. It's been a stream. We got plates today. Season of content. Whoa, hey, thanks Easy Frags XD. Appreciate that. Came in at the end of the stream though, unfortunately. I'm gonna be leaving here. But if you'd like, we'll be live tomorrow at 1 PM Central Standard Time. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Am I getting follow botted? Ain't being follow about it. I'm gonna end it here. Goodbye.